Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Linden Falls by Joshua Hershey. This was sent to me as a request from a author, and he wanted to see if I wanted to review his book or whether I would be interested in it. He said that it was fantasy Christian fiction. Obviously I've read a lot of fantasy books, but I haven't really read Christian fiction. I'm not even sure what the definition is, but I thought, okay, yeah, sure, I'll read it. I must have looked at the cover and I must have read the back of it. And he sent me a signed copy of this, so that was cool. Let me just show you. Personally signed copy, no personal thing in it. I believe he sent me some other stuff as well, which I haven't read, but I will be reading that at some point. For these types of videos, I usually insert a clip and a picture from the author, so that way you guys can see what they look like and to hear them speak and to get that kind of connection between you guys and the author. But Joshua didn't really want to do that, and I didn't want to pressure him to doing it. I always give authors the option whether they want to do it or not. So this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding this book. I'm going to give you my raw, honest opinions, my honest thoughts about this book, reading it for the very first time. And I'm going to be completely honest, guys. I'm not going to praise this book unnecessarily because I've got a signed copy of it, and to please the author. I'm going to give you my honest thoughts and feedback, and also this is going to be a spoiler-free video as well. This is more going to be a discussion rather than a review, so keep that in mind, guys. So this is about a young lady called Mabel, who is a bit of a rebel. We are kind of thrust in at the deep ends, or thrown in at the deep end rather, with her story. I think her grandmother has just passed away and she's rebelling about that. She does have some magical abilities and powers. This is Mabel here, or I presume it's Mabel. And she finds this mysterious spell book or book in her grandmother's house, which enables her to go to other dimensions. There's this fire that she can walk through and she can go to a different world. So it's kind of like portal fiction or portal fantasy. And Mabel goes into this world with some other friends of hers. And while there, she encounters all these strange and unusual environments and settings. She comes across all these angels, which are both good and bad. It's kind of confusing because both the evil and good angels are considered or referred to as angels. So when they are either together or fighting each other or in the same scene, it's kind of confusing to tell them apart. I mean, I think that it would benefit Josh if he called the good ones angels and the evil ones demons. Okay, fair enough, they are fallen angels, but I think that if we made that distinction, it would be like, okay, we know the good ones are angels and the bad ones are demons. And there is this winged snake god, which you see on the cover. He has a little tail of a snake, a body of a man, and a head of a snake, and these massive wings. And he has a lightning sword. And he is supposed to represent Satan. He is the essence of evil and why people are so evil and why they are so corrupted. And he is the corrupter. And he wants to reign and rule and be bad, I guess. And if he is defeated and killed, then evil will be eradicated. And he also wants this magic spell book that Mabel has in her possession. So it's kind of like a journey of good versus evil, where the good guys have to defeat the snake god and defeat it and kill it and save all existence from evil, That's basically what this story is all about. Now I'm going to have some sort of like criticisms with this book. Overall, the story as a whole was good. I enjoyed it. Even though it was a bit basic. I'm not really, I wasn't sure about what I was going in for or what I was getting myself in for with Christian fiction. I mean, I was thinking, what does Jesus Christ, get all suited and booted like Conan the Barbarian and have a fight with a snake god? Um, and the more I thought about it, that actually sounds like a really, really cool premise for a book. But the concept of good and evil is at the core of this novel. Um, Satan and hell and heaven and angels are referenced in this book. I haven't read the Bible, but I have it next to my bed. Yes, I've got to dust it every now and then, but it's next to my bed. So I haven't read the Bible, but it's one of the books which is constantly on my TBR list. But I'm not sure whether there are quotes and passages in the Bible that are referred to in this. I presume that there are, that this book quotes the Bible quite often. My biggest criticism about this book is the amount of description in it is immense. The level of description of this is so much, because when you are when I'm reading a book, especially fantasy book, I always like to like picture the scene in my mind about what the environment looks like and what the characters look like. But it feels like Josh is constantly throwing descriptions at you about what the scenery looks like and all that stuff. And it doesn't really seem to have an end to it. It seems to be a bit much. I think if he toned it down, then that would benefit this story. There seems to be too many characters in this book. I had trouble keeping track about who was who and all that stuff, which I thought could have easily been remedied by having a character list at the front of the book where it listed like the good side and the bad sides, for example, and listed all the characters and give you a brief description about who they are. I think that would have benefited me going through this book. The book doesn't have a map, which is unusual for a fantasy book. It seems to be kind of standard to have a map in a fantasy book. It's not necessary to have one, but again, I thought that it would have benefited for this book, just so when I'm going through this, I could just like track to see where the characters were. The best example about this is when you're reading the Lord of the Rings, you can like track where the characters are. Again, not necessary, but it would have probably had that little extra polish to it. And even though I like this book, I didn't know where it was going. It kind of dragged a bit for me in places, and that's probably because all the description and all the info dumping that it gave me. It's not very long, but it was a bit overwhelming at times. I think that this is probably going to be one of them books where you have to read more than once in order to understand it and fully appreciate it, which I am intending to reread this at some point. This is Joshua's first adult novel. According to Goodreads, he's got one other book which is a children's novel or a children's, I presume, picture book, but this is his first adult novel. And also the fact that this is fantasy, I'm not sure what category of fantasy to put this in. I mean, yes, it could easily be fit into Christian fantasy, if that's even a genre, but is this epic fantasy? Is this YA fantasy? I'm not sure. I think Josh would really benefit from writing YA fantasy, because I think that this is probably closest to YA fantasy than anything else. Now, when it comes to what I'm going to rate this book, unfortunately, and it hurts me and pains me to do this, but I've got to be fair with you guys and I've got to be fair with Josh as well, is that I'm going to rate this book, the first time I'm actually reading it, the first time I've read it, I'm going to give this book a 2.5 stars out of 5. but I've got a strong suspicion that when I reread this book, it will bump it up to possibly a 3 stars, maybe even beyond that. So would I recommend Linden Falls? I'm not entirely sure. If you've been intrigued about what I've just said, then yeah, sure, pick it up and give it a try. Just know that this is something that you probably have to read a bit slowly, and know that you're going to be getting a load of description about stuff. But yeah, sure. I mean, I would say at least give it a chance. Just at least give it a shot. It's not the best thing that I've read ever, but it's definitely not the worst thing that I've ever read. So I just want to say at this point, thank you, Josh, for sending me this copy of this book. I obviously will be still holding on to it, and that's despite the fact that I've got a signed copy of it. But I will be holding on to this one, and I can't wait to reread this at some point. So thank you so much for sending me this copy. It was very, very sweet of you and nice of you, and you were a very nice person to talk to. And if you have any other books that you are actually releasing, then send me a message and I will take it under consideration. I believe this is going to be part of a series. I don't think that this is a standalone book. Not sure if I would be interested in reading the next book, but who knows? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. So that's been my video of Linden Falls by Joshua Hershey. Unfortunately, I don't have any information about Josh down in the description. But hopefully you enjoyed this video, guys. Let me know if I've maybe encouraged you or inspired you to pick this book up and give it a try. And if you read it, let me know what did you think about it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And with all that out of the way, I'll see you in my next one.